Welcome back, high-achieving professionals, to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating concept called the silent architect, power in quiet progress. And we're going to fundamentally question this modern hustle culture we're all swimming in. Because let's be honest, we live in an era that overwhelmingly rewards the performance of progress so much more than the actual achievement itself. If you've ever felt like your hard work somehow doesn't count simply because you aren't broadcasting it to the entire world, well, this briefing is absolutely for you.
So let's just jump right in. In this executive briefing, we're going to unpack 5 key pillars to help you master the psychology of quiet progress. The performance of progress, identity versus actual progress, the mental editing advantage, detaching from feedback loops, and finally, delayed recognition. All right, let's start with Section 1, the performance of progress, and how we actually escape the illusion.
We really need to challenge the current workplace culture, right? You know the one, where late-night laptop shots and those gym selfies somehow seem to carry more weight than the actual work being done behind closed doors. It leads us to this incredibly provocative question. If you didn't post it, did the work actually happen? Now, I know it sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud, but it validates a very real, very deep frustration for a lot of us. We are just exhausted by the pursuit of constant social validation, because often the loudest people in the room are the furthest from their goals, while the ones actually moving the needle, yeah, they're the ones you haven't heard from in months.
So what's the antidote here? The solution really lies in becoming a silent architect. This is a rare psychological framework of quiet progress where your complex ideas are refined in the dark and your progress is tracked entirely internally. And for leaders operating in high-pressure environments, listen, this isn't just a personality trait. It is a highly strategic advantage. By shifting away from public validation and choosing to measure your success against your own internal metrics, you fiercely protect your focus and build sustainable momentum.
Moving right along to Section 2, identity versus actual progress and the real danger of premature sharing.
What's absolutely fascinating here is how our brains can literally be tricked when we share our unfinished plans. Take loud performers, for example. They rush to publicly claim a new identity super early. They're the ones announcing, hey, I'm starting a business, before they've even laid a single brick of the groundwork. Psychology actually suggests this gives the brain an immediate hit of praise, which creates this false satisfaction. Basically, your brain mistakes that social validation for actual achievement, and that rapidly kills the long-term effort you actually need to succeed. Now, compare that to quiet winners. They completely separate their identity from their unfinished goals. They actively choose to build in silence, avoiding the trap of identity-based goals altogether until the actual progress and results are undeniably real.
So why do loud performers fall into that trap? Well, it boils down to social validation dependency. It's this deep-seated urge to be understood and approved of by literally everyone around you. Silent architects, however, they break completely free from this dependency. They just accept that most people won't understand their depth or their why. And actually, by accepting that fact, they stop the constant emotional negotiation for approval. Your energy suddenly returns to your work, and your silence transforms into absolute power.
Okay, let's look at Section 3, the mental editing advantage, and using strategic silence in high-pressure roles.
Silence isn't shyness, it's the period of mental editing where the most complex ideas are refined. Now, did you notice that deliberate pause? Highly intelligent people use silence strategically exactly like that. They use it as a tool to filter information rather than just rushing to speak to fill the dead air. And doing this drastically improves decision quality when the stakes are high.
This mental editing process, it really happens in 3 very deliberate steps. You think, you filter, and then you verbalize internally first. You know, the people who master this, they absolutely do not have that arrogant, I already know everything attitude that just ruins respect. No, they focus way more on understanding than on being right. When you strip away the habit of over-explaining, which, let's face it, is mostly just a survival instinct to avoid rejection, you actually let your silence make others curious. You create this brilliant buffer that allows you to evaluate variables objectively, maintaining your own perfect cognitive rhythm while everyone else around you is just scrambling to be heard.
Which brings us to Section 4, detaching from feedback loops and mastering internal motivation.
So, to maintain your momentum and execution without a crowd cheering you on, you really have to understand the difference in feedback loops. Relying on external feedback loops, that creates the erratic up and down energy of someone desperate for a like button to tell them they're doing a good job. And that just wastes your mental peaks on conversations that go nowhere. Internal tracking, on the other hand, provides this incredibly stable internal motivation. By completely detaching from immediate external validation, you manage your focus like it's oxygen. You fiercely protect it, and that is exactly what makes deep, meaningful work possible.
And when you rely entirely on that internal tracking, you naturally develop something called visible integrity. This means setting your standards through your behavior, not through your announcements. Now, just to be super clear here, this is not the invisible effort mistake. That's the flawed idea that you should somehow hide your hard work just to look like you're naturally gifted. No, silent architects don't hide their effort, they simply lead purely through their actions. They show up, they do the grueling work, and they let the integrity of their output speak entirely for itself.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, the power of delayed recognition and how to grow without pressure.
Listen, when you intentionally step out of the spotlight, you completely flip usual expectations upside down, and you unlock the immense psychological benefit of staying quiet. You get to grow without that crushing pressure of social expectations weighing you down. You completely avoid the desperate need for an early trophy on day one, which frankly frees you up to make mistakes and iterate. But most importantly, you become deeply, deeply secure in your own identity. You realize that real strength isn't about finding closure or approval from other people. You know you already deserve to exist and to succeed well before anyone is ever clapping for you.
So I want to leave you with a genuine question to think about today. Are you currently building in silence? Do you find that you actually work better when no one is watching? If you're a high-achieving professional, perhaps it's time to step into a season of quiet progress and really master your own inner logic. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and until next time, keep building in the shade.